and welcome. I'm Corey Kell, creator of FlatEarthIntel.com. Today we're going to talk about the big difference in creation. And when we talk about creation, we're talking about the globe model, the cosmic accident, and the flat Earth biblical model. And with that, let's begin. The two roads traveled. Basically, you have two roads that are basically traveled to get to that all very important question and possibly the answer. Give us information to the answer that a lot of people are looking for. The cosmic accident, the Big Bang Theory, modern science is the globe model. The Earth is a sphere. That is the heliocentric model. And then we have the creation model as told in the Bible, the flat Earth with the firmament and the heaven. This is the geocentric model. And I know some people are going to try and tie in the globe to the biblical model, but we're going to talk about why that doesn't work, and we're going to show you a side-by-side comparison and have some talking points about that. How do we get there? Sequence for each model and review, and basically we're going to review each model. The cosmic accident model. What is it? It's the Big Bang Theory describes the origin and evolution of the universe, proposing that it began as an extremely hot, dense point that rapidly expanded and continues to expand to this day. This theory is most widely accepted scientific explanation for the universe formation. While the Big Bang Theory focuses on the universe, it also helps explain the formation of Earth and the solar system. The framework of heliocentrism, the Big Bang Theory, continued, went under singularity. Singularity went under expansion approximately 13.8 billion years ago. Then it went through some expansion and cooling. This later formed particles and atoms and subatomic particles, mainly hydrogen and helium. The formation of structures that caused formation of structures. Gravity caused the early elements to clump together, forming stars, galaxies, and galactic clusters. We continue on with the Big Bang Theory. Earth and the solar system formed billions of years after the Big Bang. It began with a giant cloud of gas and dust which collapsed under its own gravity, forming the sun and planets and Earth. Was the sun created before the Earth in the heliocentric model? Yes. The sun began forming from a solar nebula before Earth coalesced, formed from remaining material. So let's kind of look at the sequence events. The Big Bang happens, atoms are formed, stars are formed, galaxies are formed, galactic clusters are formed, our sun is formed, then the Earth. So that's kind of the sequence of events, just breaking it down when we stand back and look at it. And this is basically what we're talking about is the cosmic accident. We're talking about the globe and the theory of evolution. They're tied together at the hip. And I know some people will say, well, the globe also works with the biblical model. We're gonna talk about why that doesn't work. But the globe is tied to the theory of evolution model. The creation flat Earth model in Genesis. Let's review and talk about that. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, and it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. So there we have the first day, what's all created in the first day. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." So in other words, now we have the formation of the firmament. It's separating the waters, putting in the midst of the waters. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. So okay, we have separation of the waters with the firmament, kind of like a sandwich. And and God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, let the dry land appear. And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together the waters called the seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after its kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, and the herb yielding seed after its kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after its kind. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night. And let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. So basically it's creating a clock and a calendar. It's a very efficient system. Continue on with the creation, the Genesis model, and then and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good, and in the evening and the morning were the fourth day. So this basically completes all creation for basically for earth and the meat and potatoes. And there's other creations such as man and animals and stuff. But we're talking about basically the formation and creation of earth and the sun, moon, and stars. So let's take a look at the creation model, Genesis chapter 1 sequence. The creation sequence, we have the first thing, heaven and earth and the waters, are all created there in the first two verses. Then God creates light in verse 3, creation of day and night in verses 4 and 5, creation of the firmament in the midst of the waters. In other words, we have the separation of the waters. Creation of the firmament in the midst of the waters. So you have that formation of the firmament, the first formation. That's in verses 6 and 7. Then we have names the firmament heaven in verse 8. Creation of dry land from the waters, and dry land was called earth gathered together. The waters were called seas. And then creation, that was verse 9 and 10. Then creation of the trees, fruits, grasses on earth. That was verses 11 and 12. And then creation, the final one is creation of sun, moon, and the stars. So the very last, very last thing. And really when we talk about that, you look at the separation of the waters, the firmament, I talked about that as a sandwich. You can kind of see that on the flat earth model. When we look at that, you have the waters below, and then you would have the waters above. So you have that sandwich effect in the firmament. And again, there are other aspects in it, and when we look at creation, how the land and the seas were created. And this is what we talk about when the flat Earth model best fits the biblical model. But let's do a side-by-side comparison. And let's talk a little bit about some of the sequence of events, or how each is in the sequence. And when we have the heliocentric Big Bang globe model on the left, and then the geocentric biblical flat Earth model on the right. First thing we have is the Big Bang happens. You have the explosion, and then that's in the globe model. And then you have heaven and earth are created with the waters present. And then the second thing, you have the creation of light. Second thing you have is atoms form in the globe model, and then stars are formed. Now, when we look at stars, we look at the location of the stars from the globe model to where the stars are way down here in the last portion where the stars are created. So again, big issues, and we look at also where we have Earth as to where Earth is. It's in step 7. So going back, the stars are formed in step 3. We have creation of day and night on the biblical model in step 3. Step 4, we have galaxies form. Step 4, we have creation of the firmament in the midst of the waters. So you have that separation starting to begin. and the waters using the firmament. And then step 5, you have those galactic clusters forming, and God names the firmament heaven in step 5. Step 6, the sun is formed in the biblical model. Creation of dry land and waters. From the waters and dry land was called what? It's called earth. And then step 7, or I said step 7, and earth is formed. Step 7, creation of trees, fruits, and grasses on the earth. And then finally, each step, what didn't really talk about was the animals, and then of course humans on the Big Bang Theory, basically the last step. And then you have the creation of the sun, moon, and stars in step 8. And then you have other steps in the creation model where actually God creates Adam, created after that. But this is basically the meat and potatoes of the steps. So when we look at where the sun is formed versus where the sun is formed in the model, you can kind of start to see some of the difference. And then you have where the stars are formed. You know, stars are way up here in the very beginning. The stars are very last in the biblical creation model. But also, you know, you have Earth being formed. Again, when we look at Earth, God created heaven and earth right away. Earth isn't formed till almost the very end here on the Big Bang globe theory. So again, there's big differences, and you look at the sequence, and again, this is why that model, the globe model, was designed for the heliocentric model. The flat Earth model is designed for the biblical model, and there are so many differences. And we look at the sequence of events and how God did the creation of the Earth versus the Big Bang Theory, the globe model. Again, this is really why that you can't mix the globe in with the biblical cosmology. Again, it just doesn't fit. And you have a lot of moving pieces, and I think God does have some complexity to him. He does some fantastic creation, but again, with the some of the other things with the universe and stuff like that, and I talked about earlier in one of the presentations, God's going to create something God can control. When you start creating a universe as an ever-expanding universe, you have no control of that. That thing is just going and going and going. And you know, you have to stand back and you think, well, would God do that? Would God create something he has no control over? You know, probably absolutely not. Again, with the flat Earth model, you have a very controlled environment. God can sit back and watch that creation develop and grow, make mistakes, do some of the right things, do good and bad, but he can watch that civilization advance with the flat Earth model. Whereas the globe model, you know, you just have everything spinning out of control. You have, and the stars, you know, when they talk about some of the verses in the end times when the stars will fall from heaven to earth, you know, look at the size of those stars. You have these immense sizes. There's no way those stars are going to fall to earth. And you have the sun that's 965,000 miles in size versus the 24,000 mile Earth globe. Yeah, that's not going to work out too well. Again, and some people will say, "Well, Corey, you're being a literalist," and God does things a certain way and in a certain sequence for a reason. It has a divine purpose. And I know a lot of people go, well, you're a literalist and, you know, you're taking the Bible literally. And you know, when we look at the Bible, it's in there for a reason. It has a divine purpose. And that's why it was written in there the way it was written. There's a sequence of events. There's a purpose for it being in place. Everything in creation has a place. And again, you know, it just works, and it works quite well. Again, when we talk about the globe and the Bible, it's just the wrong model. It is designed for the heliocentric cosmic accident model. It's not designed for the biblical model. Too many moving pieces, the wrong sequence how it was formed. And again, when God, in the coming back of Christ, it says in the Bible that we will all see Christ as he comes back and he returns. You can't do that in a globe. I remember some woman saying, "Well, we have cell phones, and you could get them on a cell phone." God's not going to rely on man's technology for you to see him. It just is not going to happen. Well, wait, we can't get cell reception here, God. Could you hold off a minute? Or we can't get a signal. Could you wait? And then, that just would go over and over and over. That'd be a never-ending story. So again, that's why the globe doesn't work in the biblical model. I'm Corey Kell, creator of FlatEarthIntel.com, and this presentation has been on the big difference, and we're talking about the creation models and the cosmic accident. Thanks for watching.